Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. I'm doing a series of spotlights on remarkable business intermediaries from across the country and even in your town. And joining me on this segment is Deborah Carman. She's the founder of the Carman Law Firm. Deborah, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mark. Very happy to be here today.
Deborah, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically who are the types of folks that you specialize in helping?
I handle business transactions, which means that it could be anywhere from a small business through a business of a size of 10 million, just depending upon whether I represent buyer or seller. And what we look to do is make sure people are protected and understand what they're signing, what they're getting into, and just give them a general feel for what they're doing. And that's very important for us over here at Carmen Law Firm because we want to make sure that our buyer or our seller is educated.
So, when folks are ready to sell their businesses, do you find that they're well prepared or they really lack the information they need? Because I imagine when they created the business, they didn't really think about the end game in mind. How prepared are sellers today?
Sellers are actually, believe it or not, more prepared now because of COVID. I would say pre-COVID, sellers were very unprepared what to expect, what to do. And remember, this is a seller that's built up his baby. So it's a very emotional time for a seller. They actually have to take that baby and part with it, and they want to make sure that they find the right buyer. When the right buyer comes along, that's a perfect fit. I would say, though, that for the most part, sellers need to understand how to sell their business. They need to work with a good business broker, or if they're selling it on their own, they need to have enough information so they understand what they're looking for in that buyer, whether they're
So,
getting a loan, giving a loan, whether or not that buyer is going to obtain SBA financing, just to give them a feel and an understanding of what they have to do and what they have to pay off in their business. Many times business owners don't realize they have outstanding liens and debts and they have to pay them off at closing.
so COVID's allowed these business owners more time to research and get prepared. But along
Mhm.
with that, with a lot of information on the internet and kind of information overload, do you find that they also get some confusing mixed information, even misinformation, or any myths that you hear from sellers today?
Yes, that's a great question, Mark, because yes, I do. Part of the problem I have with sellers is that they do not understand the difference between having their own company and selling the assets of that company. So when they take, let's say, for example, an EIDL loan from the SBA, they are not realizing that they have to pay that loan back at the time of closing. Anytime that there is a lien or what we call a uniform commercial code filing on the business, it has to be paid off or assumed.
Gotcha.
And so sellers have that misunderstanding. They're thinking, well, my company is staying alive. I'm not selling my corporation. Why is it that I have to pay off these liens or my line of credit? Why do I have to close it?
So the inspiration for this series is the Great Resignation. So many folks wanting to leave their corporate jobs, maybe buy a business to run on their own for their next chapter. Have you
Yes,
found that to be true? Do you find a lot more buyers in the market today, and how's that affected sellers?
I have been doing this for over 30 years, and what we find is buyers many times come into this to get a job, and they want to make sure they're secure. Particularly what happened with COVID, people are being let off, people are going working remotely, and they're saying to themselves, "Let me buy this business, and I can take care of what I need to do without having to worry about being, fired in 2 months." And they build a wonderful business that way. Seller has built their baby, and the buyer takes over. And what the buyer's doing is he is expanding that business and being able to use that business. What I tell a buyer when they come in is please do not change the business model. That's what you're buying, and you want to make sure that's what you're going to do to succeed. And I think buyers are much more savvy because of the internet than ever. They're looking very carefully at what they want to buy. They have a lot of choices out there now, and they are looking to make sure it's a good fit for them. And good fit is very important. I've had clients that have bought businesses, can run a business, do a wonderful job, but hated it. They really didn't understand what they were getting into, and that's a problem.
For sellers today, when you start to work with a seller, Have you found any big common mistakes that they've made as they're preparing to sell their business? What kind of mistakes or pitfalls can you warn people about?
What we want to warn a seller about is making sure exactly what their books say, making sure they've talked to their accountant, that everything is in order, and making sure that they know exactly what they have as far as liens or encumbrances on that business, because they have to be paid. And people can wind up being upside down if they're not careful. We also want to make sure we tell a seller, what are you looking to do? Are you looking to have a job? It's an interesting way because people buy a business to have a job. People sell a business to have a job and not worry about running the business on a day-to-day basis. So you have to kind of really understand that seller, get into their mind and understand what they're looking for. If that's a very important thing for them, then we have to make sure it's written into the contract so they're not going to be let go the next month. If something's important to them, to make sure they have no note and they don't care if they take a little bit of a maybe less money, but they have no note. If they're willing to wait for SBA financing, what is the seller looking to do? Retire, merge with someone, and that's really important.
Deborah, take us back a little bit and tell me what inspired you to get into this field and be a business intermediary. How did you get started in the field?
Well, thank you. I started this field because I wound up coming out of Tulane University about 39 years ago. And at Tulane, I studied maritime law. I came out doing boat contracts. So once you start doing boat contracts and you start doing contracts for people, it doesn't matter what the industry is. At that point, I got very interested in taking care of businesses, whether it was selling a yacht or was selling a plane or selling a business. It all became the same in the sense of getting a feel for what people need. And that's what we're looking to do. I'm the quarterback. I'm looking to make sure that all the parties here understand what's going on and I can make it happen. And I always say the same thing. If a buyer wants to buy and a seller wants to sell, I'll make it happen.
Excellent. Deborah, before I ask you my last question, is there anything that I didn't think to ask that you feel is important to share in regards to selling a business or even buying a business in today's market?
Thank you. Yeah, so if you're going to sell a business, you want to make sure you're working with a business attorney. And it's very important because people will come back, they do real estate. I do real estate as well, but you want to make sure someone understands what it is to be a business attorney. And you want someone who's very creative because you might have a buyer that you need to do something very special for, and you have to be able to figure out how to do it, whether it's a management agreement or whether it's some other way to get into this business. We try to figure out the best way for all parties, and you need to have creativity to do that. It's not vanilla. The vanilla businesses from years and years ago are gone.
Sage advice. Deborah, for folks listening today and are interested in selling their business, considering doing that, or even somebody looking to buy a business and would like to speak with you, how do they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
What they can do is give me a call over here at the office at 561-392-7031, or they can go ahead and look at our website. We can help them there, and that is carmanlegal.com. And we're delighted to speak to anybody that is buying or selling a business and see how we can assist them, or if they're buying a franchise.
Deborah, this has been terrific. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing with my audience today. And I wish you continued success for you and all of your clients.
Thank you so much, Mark. Have a wonderful day.
That was Deborah Carman, the founder of Carman Law Firm. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.